Good morning or good afternoon, Tigers. Today we'll be watching a Quizzette video on 806. As always, write your last name, comma, your first name, the date, I don't really care about, and your class color. Number 1 says, what is an integer value of n that will make the rational number negative 17 over n an integer? So I remind you that an integer, go ahead and write this down, is whole numbers and their opposites. So whole numbers include 0, but the opposite of 0 is just 0. So there's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The opposite of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5. So integers are whole numbers and their opposites. And this question is asking you, what can you fill in for n to make this number an integer? And so the only possible solution is 17. So 17 or negative 17, I guess. But we're just going to put 17. If we put 17 underneath, that is negative 1. So n must equal 17 or negative 17. Number 2 gives you the geometric formulas for the area of three-dimensional figures or two-dimensional figures. I guess two-dimensional figures. So the area of a circle is area equals pi r squared. The area of a triangle is area equals 1/2 base times height. The perimeter of a square is p equals 4s, which is 4 sides. The volume of a sphere, which is a three-dimensional circle, so v equals 3/4 pi times r cubed. And then the surface area of a sphere is SA equals 4 pi r squared. So I remind you that pi, sorry, I didn't mean to draw with that, that the value of pi is 3.14. It's actually approximately 3.14. Pi technically never ends and repeats itself and never has a pattern, but it goes on forever and ever. But for all intents and purposes, when we're solving for the area of a circle, we use 3.14. So the question asks, which formulas contain a rational number that is not an integer? So if we look at the area of a circle, that does not include a rational number. It only includes an irrational number, which is pi. And then r squared, we don't know the value of r squared. If we look at the area of a triangle, that is a fraction, and that is a rational number. That is not an integer, because integers are whole numbers and their opposites. So the area of a triangle would apply to this, or you can put a area of a triangle. And let's see if there's another one. P equals 4s, contain a rational number that is not an integer. That's actually a rational number. 4 is a rational number, but that's also an integer. So it doesn't meet the qualifications. The next one, volume of a sphere. That is a rational number. It also contains an irrational number. But it's just asking contain a rational number, not an integer. So V, the volume of a sphere, would also count. So go ahead and write volume of a sphere. Or just write V equals 4/3 pi r cubed. And in parentheses, you can put volume of a sphere. All right, number 3. It says arrange the numbers in order from greatest to least. Greatest to least. So the square root of 150, I'm going to look at this first. The square root of 150 is between two numbers. I think one of them is 169, which is the square root of 13, right? That's equal to 13. And then 144, which is 12. So we know that this decimal is going to be, is it closer to 12 or is it closer to 13? It looks like it's going to be closer to 12. So I'm going to guess like 12.3, 12.4. Something around there. And then 11/4/9. We can leave it like that or convert it into a decimal. And then 4 pi, this is how you would solve 4 pi. It would be 4 times 3.14. I'm going to just multiply by 4 on this side. Go ahead and multiply this out. It's 5, that's 12, 2 decimal places. Okay, so this is 12.56, and this is 11/4. Okay, if I'm putting them in order from least to greatest, greatest to least, my greatest number is 4 pi. The next number is the square root of 150, and the next number is 11/4. All right, guys, so as you're working number 3 or any questions that are from greatest to least or least to greatest, make sure that you're reading the order in which they want it. So sometimes they can switch greatest to least to greatest. And then remember that pi is irrational, and that rational numbers are fractions. And you already know what whole numbers are, and you know what integers are. Good luck.